Hello and welcome to the Panther Courtside Report. Matt Mendel alongside Panther women's basketball coach Kyle Recklitz. And we have reached the halfway point of Horizon League play, and right now the Panthers sit with 10 victories and 10 defeats, off to a 5-4 start in Horizon League play. Good for fifth, which is where the Panthers are predicted to finish. I guess your thoughts on where things sit right now as we've played half now of the conference slate.
Well, I feel like we're beating the teams that we are supposed to beat when you look at RPIs, and we've kind of lost to the teams that we are quote-unquote supposed to lose. And it's just been a little bit tough because we've been in so many close games. You know, a lot of games that, we were, not supposed slated to win have been, 1-point losses or 2-point losses. And so we're right there. We're right on that cusp of kind of just taking the turn and maybe creating something special here at the end of the year.
Well, flashing back a couple of weeks ago, the team was in Michigan, took on the Oakland Golden Grizzlies on the 18th of January. And for the Panthers, they came away with a 79-52 victory. And what was encouraging about that game, and I think you would agree, one of the more complete games we've seen from the Panthers so far this season. Probably
the most complete. Yeah, it was really nice. I felt like we competed from start to finish, and there really weren't any lulls in the game. Even when we made substitutions, everybody was ready to play. The energy was great. Sometimes when you're on the road, you kind of have to feel yourself in that category. And I felt like our team was bought in from start to finish, and I gave a lot of credit to our upperclassmen for that.
How about the offense? Shot a season best 50% from the field, but it was the inside-outside game, knocked down 7 threes, but also had 38 points in the paint.
Yeah, I felt like we moved the ball really well. That's something that we've been really focused on this season, and kind of in our last few games, we've been at that kind of 19-21 assist mark, and that was one of those games where we just really moved the basketball. It touched a lot of people's hands every single possession, and it got the defense moving from one side of the court to the other. And like you said, we had a lot of inside-outside plays.
You talk about that we over me concept, and it seems like the team really, especially these last couple of weeks, has bought into that concept. And in the Oakland matchup, a season best of 21 assists. Now, individually, a number of players against stepping up. Megan Wallstad came through with a total of 18 points, and in doing so went 7 of 13 from the field at 7 rebounds. You told me, too, during that road trip, on average, you'd like to see Megan shoot about 15 times or so a game.
Yeah, I think we got to definitely get her the basketball more. I mean, she's 28th in the country in field goal percentage and second in our league, right behind the #1 player in the conference, Macy Williams. So it's, the more touches that we can get her, the better opportunities we're going to have to score. Plus, it also puts, as teams start learning how to double team her and play her differently, it puts openings on the outside for that inside-outside game.
A great game for Akela Hayes, and we'll talk with Akela coming up in our second segment, but she came through with a total of 14 points, brought down 7 rebounds, added 3 assists, a block, 3 steals. Then Brandy Bisping, I know her big offseason focus, trying to be more offensive, and it seems like starting to turn that corner now. The Oakland game, she had 10 points, 6 rebounds, and, she had a big game against IUPUI. Sometimes she's getting to the free throw line, sometimes she's not, but she's being aggressive.
Yeah, well, Akela, I mean, she's really been our 6th man this whole year, and we've kind of put her in the starting lineup here and there, but really, I mean, she's somebody that's brought a lot of energy off the bench for us, and I can't ask for any more from a senior. When she's playing under control, she's pretty tough to stop, and she's had really good games for us as of late, so I'm excited to see how her second half of conference goes here to finish out her career. And then Brandy, actually, we sat down before this Oakland-Detroit trip and kind of looked at a variety of ways that she could score, and how she's passing up on some opportunities and how we need her to look to shoot more. She's been getting to the gym and getting a lot of shots up, and you can definitely tell that's paying off because she's really starting to net those 3 balls, which we need, and she's starting to, which gives her opportunities to drive then as well.
A couple of days later, a victory at Detroit Mercy by the final score of 62-44. Not the prettiest of first halves, but nice adjustment that second half. What changed? How were you guys able to find more success offensively in the final 20 minutes?
Well, we hadn't seen zone in a long time. I mean, coming into conference, we were hitting almost 9 threes a game. We were at an 8.8 clip, and so a lot of teams were playing us in zone. We kind of cooled off there about that beginning of conference, and so we were afraid we were going to start seeing it. But we hadn't worked on our zone offenses a lot. So with a one-day turnaround, just kind of reviewing stuff, it's tough to. Detroit's zone is really tough to see kind of the holes until you actually play it. So, we were only ahead by 1 at halftime, and when we went in the locker room, really it was just us drawing up the plays for them and saying, here's the holes, run the play like this, and you'll get the shot. And our team came out and really executed in the second half.
And in that second half, it became the Sydney Levy show, came through with a career high at 23 points, knocked down 7 threes, which is tied for 3rd in program history. Also accomplished this season by Alyssa Fisher. Boy, Sydney Levy, though, just went off. We've seen moments where she's been able to do that in games this season.
Yeah, and it's something that was the biggest reason we recruited her, is she just has a knack for being able to get her shot off. I keep telling her she could be our Allison Smolinski, who's the, kind of the best shooter in the league right now. She's at Youngstown State, and she's able to get 9, 10 threes off a game. Sydney Levy was able to get 13 off in, I think, about 19, 20 minutes. So that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. Now, from that 2-0 road trip in the state of Michigan to a homestand and a couple of big games, a defining week for the Panthers, and very competitive in the first game, a tough 67-66 setback in overtime against IUPUI on the 24th of January. Your takeaways from that loss and a game that saw 6 ties and 16 lead changes?
Well, the games last year were very similar against IUPUI. I think Austin is a very good coach. And I think we're both, kind of in-game adjustment coaches. So, as the game went on, we got down there for a little bit, made a comeback, at the beginning, and then we got ahead. He made an adjustment. They made a comeback. It was one of those games that just seemed to ebb and flow. That fourth quarter was a really fun fourth quarter because it was back and forth the entire way. And, I really wish we could have finished that. I wish we could have finished it for our team. We had a couple really great players stand out during that game. I thought Brandy Bisping had another really solid game. And that was really good to see because we really needed some of the stuff that she was bringing us. She got a really big stop at the end of regulation to take it to overtime.
And all 3 players, scoring-wise, set career highs. Megan Wallstead came through with a total of 21 points in being named the Horizon League Freshman of the Week for the 3rd time this season. Michaela Schmelzer came through with 14 points, a well-rounded performance for Schmelzer. And then Sydney Staver came through with a career best of 10 points. I'll get Coach's thoughts about those 3 during our 3rd segment. But when we come back here on the Panther Courtside Report, we check in with senior Akela Hayes.
It's always out there. The horizon. A reminder that our greatest goals are rarely attained. And as soon as you reach one, another emerges. But every day we rise and work harder, dig deeper, ask one more question, take one more shot in relentless pursuit of our horizon.
Welcome back to the Panther Courtside Report, being joined by Panther senior Akela Hayes. How special is it for you? Now, you went to high school at Milwaukee Kings, so essentially now as a Milwaukee Panther, you're in your own backyard. How special is it to be so close to home and now playing as a Milwaukee Panther?
I love it. I'm a big family person, so being around my family is very close to my heart, and being able to have them come to games is very special to me.
If, back in high school, the thought of playing college basketball were to arise, was Milwaukee kind of always on the radar? Was it always kind of a goal to maybe stay close to home and be a Panther? Yeah,
I really wanted to stay close to home. There were a lot of other opportunities, but being close to home was definitely a top priority.
Now, at Milwaukee King, did I read correctly that you once had a 26-rebound game?
Yes.
What do you remember about that game?
I don't. It was just a regular game to me. It just happened to fall in my hands a couple more times than other games.
Did you know you had 26 rebounds, or was it one of those that somebody to tell you after?
Yeah, somebody told me after, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, wow. That's pretty cool.
Milwaukee King, there's some great basketball, and certainly during your time, there was some great basketball. You guys were always competing in the city conference and then at the state level. What made those teams, in your opinion, so competitive? How much fun was it to get that state experience your freshman year?
I think during that time in high school, it was because we were all on the same AAU team, so we had to kind of prove something going out and playing on our high school team, so that was pretty cool.
So you go from Milwaukee King to the Milwaukee Panthers. What were your expectations, or what were your thoughts when you first stepped on campus and you put on a Panther uniform?
I thought that the campus was very nice, very close, and I thought I was going to be able to get to my classes very easily. Being able to put on that Panther jersey, it was it changed a lot because I knew that it was going to be a whole different kind of situation and environment as a whole.
So how has your role, maybe how has your mindset as far as basketball goes, how has that evolved? How has that changed over the last now, from freshman to sophomore year, sophomore to junior year, now into your senior campaign? How has your emotions, your roles, how's that all changed?
I believe that I've gained a lot of patience and kind of understood more about the game. And really, patience just taught me a lot, and just to keep working hard no matter what's going on or off the court.
Coming into your senior year, you knew that you would have to be one of the leaders. I mean, you're one of two seniors currently on the active roster. So what did you do during the offseason? How did you go about preparing for your final go-around?
I worked out a lot with Legacy Basketball, and we worked out almost every day in the summer, and he knew I had something to prove, and I really had a good time all summer with him, and I was just glad to come back and with a different mindset to go on and prove something to the team as well as win a championship. So that's our big goal.
Now, as far as you and your game, was there a certain area that you really focused on that you told yourself, hey, I have to get better in this area?
I want to get better at my outside shot because I know Coach loves those threes. So that was a big point. But other than that, just improving and polishing a little bit of everything.
As we sit here 20 games into the season, are you pleased with the progress not only the team is making, but that you've made in your game?
You can be pleased, but never satisfied. You can always want more.
Yep.
I always want more for myself and the team as well, and I know that we have more to show.
Second semester now upon us, a couple of weeks in now. Does that change, how you go about your daily routine? Where for a while you had first semester, then all of a sudden first semester comes to a close, and it's basketball pretty much all the time. Mm-hmm. Now it's like you're juggling again the academic side and the athletic side. What is a semester like for a student athlete?
Oh, it's hectic. Practice fluctuates in times. Mondays we have 6 a.m. practices, and on other days it might be 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. So it really changes, and I don't really mind that too much. I'm very good with my time management, and I love all my classes, so I'm pretty excited about that.
And I feel like you have to have great time management skills like you have with all that you have going on.
Yeah.
And something that many may not know is some of the hobbies you have include sewing, photography, designing. How did you get involved in those areas, and what have you been able to do with those talents?
I've always just had a knack for like technology and like dressing up and like having my own style and stuff like that. When I was in high school, I got my first sewing machine from my grandmother, and I made a couple shirts from scratch, but then I figured like maybe I want to just design t-shirts and design like sweaters and stuff like that. So I went on and did that on a digital side when you have to design on a computer and find printing shops and do all that kind of stuff. So I've been doing that for a while, but I really love photography, and I hope to continue that as my career. I have done over 10 weddings and made quite a bit of money from that, and I'm very thankful for the people who gave me a chance to start off, and it really has been growing my confidence and my clientele as well.
How did photography become an interest?
I always wanted to be a model, but there was no one here to take pictures of me, so I figured I'd take pictures of myself, and I learned to take pictures, and I wanted to take pictures of others, so that's how it started.
I read too, in the media guide, it says that one of your plans for after Milwaukee is to own a small business. So you're already on your way, are you not?
Yeah.
So what's, I guess, in your opinion, as we wrap things up, what's the dream then? Okay, so you're already on your way, but ultimate goal, ultimate dream, what do you envision as far as your future, and whether it be design or photography?
I want to get a media company and continue my photography, video production, and a whole bunch of other things going down the list. And just a media company will pretty much allow me to do all those things that I really love to do.
Great stuff, Akela. We'll be following closely, and best of luck the rest of this basketball season, then going further. And thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
We'll be joined by head coach Kyle Reckless when we continue here on the Panther Courtside Report. Welcome back to the Panther Courtside Report. Matt Menzel being rejoined by head coach Kyle Reckless, and got a great opportunity to speak with senior Akela Hayes a second ago. And she's from Milwaukee King. What caught your eye about Akela Hayes and allowing her to stay here in pretty much her backyard?
When I started recruiting her, just her athleticism. And then as I got to know her personality, she is just a very unique person. She's an entrepreneur. She's funny, like stuff you just don't really know when you only see her on the court. And so I'm so happy that she has really kind of found it this year and figured out how to really contribute, because that's all she's ever wanted to do in her career here. And she's having an unbelievable senior year. I'm so proud. She's on our leadership team, voted on by her teammates. They wanted her on, our coaches wanted her on, and she's just providing so much for us both on and off the court.
Yeah, what were your expectations for Akela coming into her final collegiate season? Has she exceeded those expectations?
Oh, absolutely. She put a ton of work into the summer, both with she had a private coach, trainer kind of during the summer that she used that really helped her out a ton. And then just the building that we had done during the postseason last year and in the summer this year. I'll never forget, we did these one-on-one challenges during the summer, and she consistently won them all. I mean, it was like nobody could beat her. And she was just playing so much more under control. And it was just really great to see that she was able to turn some of those moves that she's had in the past where she wasn't able to finish, she was able to finish. And that's really paid off, and you're able to see that now when you come to our games.
Absolutely. She, again, has been on quite a tear here in conference play. Mentioning during the first segment as we're wrapping things up, the IUPUI game, 3 players in that performance had career highs with Megan Wallstad, Michaela Schmelzer, Sydney Staver. I want to bring up Schmelzer and Staver because, Michaela looks like, she's being a little more aggressive too. I keep using that word, but offensively, she's finding ways to score buckets. She's finding ways to, continue to contribute in a variety of ways. And then Sydney Staver, it seems like she's finally catching up to speed after missing 7 games with illness. Yeah,
well, Michaela, she's been averaging, as of late in that 4 and 5 assist range. Mm-hmm. And so she's one of those players where a lot of teams are starting to make her have to be the scorer instead of allowing her to get an assist. So anytime she can start getting her 3-point shot going, which she's been putting a lot of time in the gym to get extra shots up. I think she hit 3 or 4 that game against IUPUI. It really helps the defense have to suck her out on her, which then gives her driving range, which then gives her assist opportunities. And then Staver, it's interesting because she was starting for us the very first game of the year. Even if Michaela would have been there to play, she still would have been starting for us. I mean, she had such a great preseason. We were so excited about her, and then she had mono, and it really set her back. And so it's really just awesome to see her getting her legs back underneath her and building that confidence up. I'm just excited to see how she continues to play here over the next few months.
Well, the entire team, a complete game effort came a couple days after the IUPUI loss on January 26th. A victory against UIC, 72-53, in which all 14 players played, 13 scored. I mean, that was a complete team effort, and really from start to finish.
Yeah, that was fun. It was, we got out there, we started the game off really, really strong. We really locked into the scouting report defense and really played them the way that we wanted to. It was nice to be able to get everybody in and get everybody minutes. Anaya Moore got her first collegiate bucket, which was really exciting. I thought Alyssa Moore, our backup point guard, that was probably one of her better games as well. She had a couple really nice assists, had a pick steal. The things that we know she can do, it was nice to see her be able to get time to be able to do those things. So we had a variety of people step up, and the energy on the bench, it was just really fun to be a part of.
Brandy Bisping with a career high of 12 points. Ryan Johnson came through with 3 blocks and a battle of the top 2 shot blockers in the league, and beating Jada Neji, who had just 1 block for UIC. Also Alumni Day, and that's always a fun event as the Panthers celebrated its history. It dates back to 1971. Just, again, a fun event. And a great turnout of alum that came back for that celebration. Yeah,
I think we had 37 alumni come back with their families, and it's the most that we've had. Definitely a special shout out to Sandy Botham, who was the coach here before I was here, and she was able to come back and coach one of the teams and be there for the entire day. Not easy to do when you're coaching a high school team. So it was great to have her in the stands, and we had a great celebration after the game. Anytime you win, it's nice to win on Alumni Day because you go hang out with the alumni afterwards, and it makes it a lot easier to walk around and talk to people when you have a win under your belt.
Well, and from Alumni Day to a week's time off, at least in preparation for what's up next in Horizon League play, that is the Green Bay Phoenix up at the Cressy Event Center, a Saturday 1 o'clock tip time. Thoughts on the Phoenix, who are coming off an overtime loss of their own against IUPUI, a team that's finding ways despite, a couple of injuries along the way.
Yeah, and I know they're really trying to get Frankie Wirtz back. I think she got injured right in the last 20 seconds of our game and hasn't played a game since, which is a little daunting because it's just like, So I'm guessing she probably will be back for our game. We're preparing for her for sure. They're just a team that moves the basketball so well on the offensive end, and then also defensively, they're the best defensive team in the league. And so, you got to kind of pick and choose what you're going to try to take away. And I feel very confident with our staff and how we've kind of approached this week. We've been giving them a lot of rest. We're going to get a lot of shots up, and hopefully we're going to, change some of the mistakes that we made defensively against them the first time around.
Yeah, what were your takeaways from that game back on the 28th of December, which, okay, 76-62, but that was a 4-point game entering the fourth.
Yeah, well, we competed for sure, and Jamie Wright had an unbelievable game. She really headhunted her shot, which is something that you have to do against them. You have to play with a lot of confidence and not be afraid to take some of those outside shots because they pack it in the paint so much. And so hopefully with the way that Sydney Levy's playing, that she can come and give us some minutes, relieve Jamie in some minutes in that category, and it doesn't have to be all on Jamie this time around. We got tired in the fourth quarter, and so we got to make sure that we have an understanding to have our legs underneath us, that we may need to play people a little bit earlier in the game. But we're ready for it. We're ready for the challenge and ready to get the second half of conference started.
And following Green Bay, a couple of home games against Wright State and Northern Kentucky next week on Thursday and Saturday. Coach, as always, thanks a lot for your time. Best of luck these upcoming weeks.
Thank you.
That's the head coach of the Panther women's basketball squad, Kyle Reckless. Stay tuned when we come back here on the Panther Courtside Report. Scott Wars will be joined by men's basketball head coach Pat Baldwin.
It's always out there. The horizon. A reminder that our greatest goals are rarely attained. And as soon as you reach one, another emerges. But every day we rise and work harder, dig deeper, ask one more question, take one more shot in relentless pursuit of our horizon.
And welcome back inside the Panthers Courtside Report. We talk a little men's hoops now, joined by the head coach, Pat Baldwin. Coach, here we talk and here we sit. The exact halfway point of the conference season, 9 games down, 9 to go. So let's kind of take a look at this at the halfway point. What do you know now about your team? I love asking this question. What do you know now about your team 9 games into the conference season that you didn't know 9 games ago?
Well, I think anytime that for us, we had a lot of new guys. I think what you worry about is how will they defend? How will that chemistry and rhythm, how will they get that on the offensive end? And I think we've answered some questions about our defense. I think that we've done a pretty good job, for the most part with our defense and holding teams to around 41-42% from the field. And then on the offensive end, I thought we had a rhythm going when Bryce was in there and working with Darius. I think during that time when they were playing together, Darius was around 18 points per game, and I thought that synergy was pretty good. So we started picking up a pretty good rhythm. Then Darius got hurt, and it kind of threw us back into, all right, now we need to redefine who we are a little bit, not on the defensive end, but on the offensive end. So I learned some valuable lessons, especially on the offensive end. I think we kind of established ourselves defensively.
And there really was a point, and it was only 3 games in that Youngstown lost here at home, where you and the guys kind of spent a little extra time in the postgame talking through what you wanted to be and how you wanted to be on both ends of the floor. And the numbers are really pretty stark when you look 3 games in compared to the last 6 games of this first half stretch.
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about the 3 games that we had played initially, those first 3 games, we're, giving up a lot of points in the second half, and especially, higher field goal percentage shooting for our opponents. And so we had to correct that. And I thought we did made a remarkable adjustment in our next 6 games, where we've held, our opponents to, I think, around 46 in the second half, but overall, still around that 41-42% for the game. So in our game. So I think that, where we stand right now, I'm pretty pleased with how we're doing on the defensive end. And I'd like to see our points per game go up too. That would be nice.
We saw on this most recently completed road swing through Wright State and Northern Kentucky, such a tough trip in this league. We've seen, I think, your team play with a little bit of an edge, a little bit of an attitude, with emotion, and that is a very, very good thing. You played with a lot of emotion as a player yourself back in the day. What is the key to playing with emotion but not letting emotion control you, if you understand what I mean?
No.
How do you balance that?
No, I think that's a difficult thing, because we do have some very emotional type of players that we have to control that a little bit and help them see the big picture, if you will. So we talk about it all the time, and we talk about it in our pregame shoot-around of, number one, don't play the game in our shoot-around. Don't get so hyped up about the game in the shoot around where you lose all your energy and not performing at your best at that point. But like I said, we always talk about that. That's a very integral part. The emotion is a part of the game, and we just try to channel it and try to put it in the right frame of mind for our guys. But I do want them to have emotion on those exciting plays, on those dunks, on a three that potentially changes the momentum of a game. So I love seeing that, and it's continuously our job as coaches to monitor that emotion and make sure it's the right one.
Give us the name or two of guys on your squad that you've been pleasantly pleased with in this first half of conference play.
I've been pleased with Bryce, and I'll say him for a reason. With Bryce, you know what you're going to get, and I think he had struggled last year shooting the ball and finding kind of his rhythm and his confidence, and I think he's settled into when our guys look at him, they look at him with, okay, he's a guy that settles us down. He keeps the emotion down, when it's boiling over a little bit. But he's done a great job. He's knocking, about 50% of his threes in conference play. He's been, really a stabilizer for us. So I've been very pleased with him. Been very pleased with Amir and his transformation from one half of the season to, kind of going into the 3/4 mark of our year. He's shooting a great percentage from the field. Had a tremendous game at home here recently, and we expect that from him and want so much more from him, and such a hard worker. So I've been pleasantly surprised with him. And what I've also been very happy with is Vance Johnson. Just accepting his role coming off the bench. It's hard when you're somebody like Vance and you think that you're making that next step from coming off the bench, a year ago to now, assuming a new role or potentially a new role. And we've asked him to, come off the bench for us to give us some scoring, and he's accepted that with open arms and no problems at all.
What does that reserve role for Vance, what does that allow him to do? Why is he a better player for being in that position?
Sometimes it's hard for a young player to realize that when you're coming off the bench, you almost have an advantage from the standpoint of you get to see the action in front of you. So you get to understand the tempo, how the referees are calling fouls. And for him in the post, are they going to let you play and bang a little bit more in the post? And I think that's an advantage, and I think he's taken advantage of that as well. But also, I think when you come off the bench and you're playing maybe against that guy who's been playing 5 to 6 minutes, right off the bat, you have an edge and energy probably in getting up and down the floor and from an offensive standpoint, getting to your best move or taking advantage of that. So he's been really good, really solid, very consistent for us, and we're just hoping in these nine games that we have left in the regular season that he helps our guys understand the sense of urgency, because he and Jake, our two seniors, this is their last go-around in this league.
And oh, by the way, Vance is also on track to set the single-season free throw percentage record for Panthers basketball. You mentioned Jake Wright, the grad transfer, the co-captain on this squad. He plays with a little emotion as well. He's a team leader. He'll join us next, Coach, as the Panthers Courtside Report continues. Back inside the Panthers Courtside Report, joined by Jake Wright, senior co-captain on this Panthers squad. Jake, I appreciate the time very much. Give me your conference midway evaluation of this team right now. 9 games down, 9 games to go. You've seen everybody once. What do you like about this team? What are the traits that you like about the way you guys are playing right now as a whole?
I mean, we're right where we're supposed to be, I guess, because that's where we are. And what's going to be important is that we make adjustments going forward. We were right there in the Wright State game, and we kind of let NKU get away from us. We need to lock in on our attention to detail. A lot more. That's got to be something that we, really hammer home in terms of, just knowing the scouting report and sticking to it and not, letting up on it and letting players, break out and get easy shots. But I like our energy. I mean, we're coming to practice and we're competing every day, and we're getting better. And I feel good about where we're at right now. I think that, the best is ahead of us, and everybody else believes that. So I'm excited.
What about you personally in your game? What would you like to continue to improve upon as you look at the home stretch of your college basketball career?
Yeah, I think just decision making a little bit. We'd run a couple of sets where I'm coming off dribble handoffs or ball screens, and a lot of the time I'm hunting my shot so much off of those that I may miss, other options that are open. So just coming off that with my head up and being able to make the right decision, because I've been hitting shots lately, so teams might, start coming out on me, so I have to be able to make the next pass, and that's kind of like the next step that I hope to take just as a playmaker, and be able to make other people better and put other people in positions to score outside of myself.
I've been impressed, Jake, getting to know you this year with your personal commitment to improvement. You're one of the first guys asking for that game film after the game is over, and you're looking, it strikes me, you're always looking to soak in that information to make you and the team ultimately better. Where does that come from? What drives you to constantly strive to be better?
Well, first of all, I mean, I'm a shooter, and I've noticed as I've, kind of come in contact with other people who are known as shooters is that they're perfectionists. And that's kind of how I am. I want to be as good as I can possibly be. I'm always, and that's something I've always had, is I'm always striving to be the best version of myself. And, with especially now that I see the light at the end of the tunnel, as my college career is coming to an end. So I'm not trying to take any of it for granted. And I want to become the best I can possibly be. And I want us as a team to become the best we can possibly be. So there is a relentless drive in that. There's always, something else I could be doing, something else. I could be watching more film. I could be, talking to Vance about our ball screen coverage. I could be, talking about late game scenarios with coach and how we're going to, drop a better shot so we can get a better shot or better look than we did against Wright State. Just all these things that I'm kind of thinking about and processing all the time. And, obviously being a shooter, I want to become a better shooter. I want my percentage to go up even more. I want to be able to help our team even more. So that's why, I'm in the gym after practice, getting shots up and before, and, always working, because that's how I am. And that's how I've been successful at the college level. I'm not the most athletic guy on the court. I'm not somebody who's going to blow you away with their quickness or their athleticism, but I'm a worker, and I've kind of self-made myself into a successful college basketball player. So. Okay.
So with that being said, what advice now, if you could go back into time, or we could bring in your freshman you to this room right now, what would you advise him? What advice would you offer the freshman Jake Wright setting off on this journey now that you can look back?
I'd just say, first of all, buckle up, because this is going to be a journey. I mean, yeah, it's been a long journey of ups and downs. I'd tell him to stay the course and to always look glass half full at the situation. I mean, I've been through a lot, and it's made me the man who I am today. But man, I'm so blessed to be able to, have these experiences, because it has prepared me for the real world in ways that, I could have never imagined. I'm so thankful to have the opportunity to, play Division I basketball, and also, and go through everything that I've gone through, from going to a military school my freshman year to getting through that. That was adversity in itself. To going to Miami, and everything that I went through there with. I was recruited by a coach, and he was there for my first year, and then, there's a coaching change. So then, coming in with a new coach and adapting to all that, and just always, just trying to be the best I can for the team, but just all these other variables that I can't control, just staying with it, staying persistent, controlling what I can control, and I believe, that God planned it out for me to do all this. And now I'm here, and I couldn't be happier with where I ended up. I mean, I love this school. I love Coach Baldwin, everything that he embodies. And, I love my teammates. It's just such a fun group to be around. And I'm thankful. But yeah, to bring it back, I would just tell him, man, buckle up. It's going to be a ride, but you're going to have some fun.
And we'll close on this, Jake. It's to have, and you touched on it there with the answer, to have that bond with your teammates off the court. Explain, if you could, for people who have not been in this position or in that team dynamic and makeup, why and how that camaraderie off the court really does impact positively what happens on the court. Explain why those two are so linked.
Yeah, I think first of all, it's very important to have them trust you, have teammates that trust each other. And that starts off the court. That starts with, okay, he really cares about me as a person. We have fun together. We have, we're friends. I trust him. He's my brother, and I know that he would do anything he could for me. So I'm gonna do the same. And then how that translates onto the court is, obviously emotions, everything is higher on the court. So, we might not always say things in the most, polite way to each other on the court. When crap hits the fan, and that's why I always tell guys, don't listen to how I'm saying it, listen to the message. And same with Coach Baldwin, when coaches are coaching you. But that understanding, that trust helps, people take just the message and know, he's just telling me that because he really wants me to do that, or so we can win, and then like that's there's a sense of urgency that is, brought on in basketball games that is not, normal, that you don't see in regular life. So having that bond off the court really helps when that urgency hits.
Yeah. No, that's well described and well explained. Jake Wright, it's been a pleasure. Best of skill the rest of the way. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We'll continue with more after this on the Panthers Courtside Report.
It's always out there. The horizon. A reminder that our greatest goals are rarely attained. And as soon as you reach one, another emerges. But every day we rise and work harder, dig deeper, ask one more question, take one more shot in relentless pursuit of our horizon.
And welcome back inside the studio. Final segment of the Panthers Courtside Report. And Coach, just talking with Jake there for the last couple of minutes. He certainly brings an element of veteran leadership, but he plays with an edge, and we saw it at Northern Kentucky a couple of days ago over the weekend. And that's not a bad thing, not at all.
It definitely isn't. And we actually talked to our guys about playing with not an arrogant swagger, but just a swagger that believing that you're really good, and we talked about earlier, the emotion, letting the emotion come out. And so for us, with a guy like Jake who wears everything out on his sleeves, and when he makes a basket and he's sitting in front, of an opponent's bench and he lets something out, I don't mind that emotion because I know that the other team was talking to him as well. But you can just see the exuberance, and it just lifted our guys up. And I wish against Northern Kentucky we could have carried that over to another half. But we love his leadership. We love his presence out on the floor. I can certainly tell you that Darius and other guys around him really appreciates him being on the floor because he helps our spacing a lot.
And a lot of the guys spend a lot of their own personal time watching game film, but Jake's at the top of the list when it comes to the players asking for more information, asking for that game tape, even if it's only an hour since the buzzer sounded.
Yeah, no, he absolutely wears you out. As soon as practice is done, he appears in your office and he's asking to watch practice film on a game. He's trying to get every advantage that he can, And probably the advantage he's trying to get is where's that seam for me to get that shot off. But I love it. That's what you want in a player. Someone that you coach. You want someone who has that, wants that to pick up on the little nuances of the game and help not only help himself out, but also help his teammates out.
So here we are, midway point, as we said, of the conference season. You've seen everybody once, 9 down, 9 to go. What and how much changes the second time in preparation for an opponent that you've already seen?
Well, I think the details change. I think everyone, once you go through that first time, they're filling each other out. They're trying to, get any type of advantage that they can. And a lot of it comes down into the scouting part of it. It's, if I'm playing defense, I want to know what our opponent's calls are so we can be prepared for it, and our guys can be prepared, and our coaches can be screaming from the sideline what's coming next. So I think really the details will matter in this next time through the league, and certainly everyone knows each other now. You know each other's tendency, individually. And then the execution side of it, and then I think again the toughness will be the greatest thing that stands out. Who are the toughest teams, and I always say the toughest team wins. In the games that we play.
Where do you want to see your team improve the most? Because it's always about getting better, regardless of what the record may be. Where do you want to see your team improve the most now over the next couple of games, let alone the rest of the way?
Yeah, I want our guys to continue to improve on the defensive end. I think there's some areas that we can shore up there. I want to improve on our fouling. We're putting opponents to the line a lot, and that we want that to stop. And then on the offensive end, I want us to be more efficient offensively. Shoot the ball better, understand where our shots are coming from, and have the confidence to knock those down.
Real quickly, get your thoughts on the way this league has played out. It's remarkable. You've got Northern Kentucky certainly with feeling pretty good about themselves, and they should. They're 8-1. Then you've got a couple of 6-3 squads, a couple of 5-4s. Yourself, Milwaukee, UIC, all 4-5. So that's a 2-game separation between second place and 8th place. It's really bunched up there in the middle. Your thoughts on just the way this year's played out?
It's probably played out the way that every coach has thought it would, from the standpoint of there's a lot of parity. You look at even Youngstown State, who's, I think they won 2 games this year. They beat us, and they're physical, they play hard, and anything can happen in a game like that, and they've been in close games. So, I look at ourselves, and we're in a position where if we're playing well and we do a great job, we have some road games remaining, that if we take care of business on the road, we can move up the standings and put ourselves in really good position. We talk about the seeding and the tournament and all of that, but we just want to take it game by game and improve each and every game that we step out on the floor. And we always say the game that's the most important is the one in front of you. So we concentrate there, and then if we can get on a string and win some close ones, I think that's going to be very good for us.
Well, and the next one in front of you is Friday night in Green Bay against the Phoenix. That's going to be at the Crest Center, so it's not across from Lambeau at the Resch. It's on campus. It's a homecoming game for Green Bay. Arena holds about 4,000, could be close to capacity. It'll be another tough atmosphere, but knowing your guys are playing better now, especially defensively, than you were that first game against them, it's got to excite you and the staff and these players of yours to see Green Bay a second time, knowing you're playing better.
Yeah, I think we are playing better, and we look at that game as an opportunity missed. I can remember the score exactly. It was 68-65. We hit a 3 in the corner, Jake did, and then we gave up a layup right away. And that was the beginning of kind of that turnaround and that momentum that we were trying to get back. And, that was a punch in the gut to us. And so in thinking about that and watching the film and rewatching it with our guys understand that you can't take anything for granted. And Green Bay's they're a good team. They were at one point leading the conference, and so that tells you a little bit about this league and about Green Bay. That they're a good team, and so we have to play well in order to beat them, and going on the road, and like you said, in the venue that seats around 4,000, you have to. First, you have to stem any tide and any runs that they may have, and then you have to fight the crowd as well.
Yeah. Panthers and Phoenix Friday night in Green Bay to kick off the second half portion of the conference slate. Coach, appreciate it. Best of skill up there in Titletown.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Our thanks to the coach for his time. Our thanks to Jake Wright. For Kyle Recklitz and Matt Menzel, I'm Scott Warris. We'll see you right back here next time for the next edition of the Panthers Courtside Report.